Well, here's the thing. I mean, what we're doing is, yes, we are. If we were to put institutions in place that had to run around doing that all the time, and we had a situation where our society familially looked like it does now, we'd have a government that was constantly intervening, right? But we're not, this is interesting because these things didn't come up with all these other spheres. Because we've already discussed revolution in kinship with regard to gender relations and in economics and in culture and things like that to some extent. But the things that we haven't already radicalized ourselves about, all of a sudden when we say, I can just pass through a lot of these things. I mean, there's 10 of them probably that I've listed already that nobody has been struck by. There's also 10 things, those are also 10 things that we've already agreed we're making dramatic changes in. Okay, so this would be something that subverts the family if we were to just implement it flat out. But if families are changing and kids are becoming empowered elements of society, empowered actors in society at earlier ages, this isn't going to be a problem. This isn't even going to be controversial someday, possibly.
What age are kids ready to become?
Well, it's a developing age. But
I mean, empowered. It's like what age are they autonomous?
Birth.
Yeah.
But we're
Are they independent? Are they independent at birth? No. Yeah, I am going to call on you. I had a feeling you had something kind of fresh to say, so I was going to try to get this out. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, I would take it even one step further. I think
I knew you were going to say something further.
Parents. I mean, I don't even think that you should have any why do you have to be living with the people that necessarily gave biological birth to you? I don't think that should be a given at all.
It won't.
So come on, really let me have it.
I'm sure the hell not going to let you have it. I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah,
I totally.
I think it might be tricky to switch mothers into it first, until it was common practice. There'd be a generation of mothers who were I guess it's true. You
I'm not
choose an option. You could choose.
I'm not going to let anybody have anything because I've been thinking for 5 seconds, but I don't know that if the silence is still consent because I got to think.
Well, we're not making a decision, so that doesn't matter.
I'm just trying to.
We're not.
Thank
God we haven't. We're not just blueprinting here.
One more thing. I've been a kid. When I was a kid, I would make I would make a decision on if you'd make a split-second decision, and if I had to live I would have just left my parents, but then I might have regretted it, and I don't know. I mean,
so then you regret it.
So then you go back.
So
Yeah.
maybe
You would be sitting duty, wishing you were with your parents. There wouldn't be a duty. And I think another thing.
There's an answer to almost everything you're going to bring up. It's kind of interesting.
Your thing about would there be DSS or whatever, or social services?
Yeah.
I feel like we would decide, if people aren't, taking care of the kids that are in their care, whether they're biologically their kids or not, in every other aspect of our society, it would be a group decision. The people in the community would come together, and some people would say, I think that's fine what they're doing, and other people would say, well, what about this? And we would come to some sort of.
The kid would have the largest
And
say
that
because
too.
they would be the most affected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
I
like
mean, it's
every
not
other.
there would just be no, whatever for the kids, and if they're, chewing on nails, then there's not going to be anybody there to say, that's not cool. But.
Well, they'll understand real quickly when they start chewing on the nail that it's pretty fucking painful.
Right.
Well, there's all sorts of these. The problem that we're encountering here is that we got things that we typically think have anything at all to do with age, because of a preponderance of sort of some truth to that, right? So do kids wander into the highway more often than adults do? Yes. Does that necessarily lead to adults never need to be watched and have to be completely independent? Or kids, do kids need nourishment directly handed to them by their parents in a way that we visually see this all the time? Yes. However, does that mean that children are less dependent than adults are? Well, an adult is going to have an easier time off in the forest foraging and this and that. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't say that adults are less dependent. We're all dependent on each other in the society that we're talking about. There are certain matters of degrees, but beyond that, there's really nothing you can point out and say.
There's even
you're going to try though. No, go ahead.
I don't know. I have to disagree on this point. I think there's just facts where it's just the bond between parent and child is strong. It's like.
And it's biological.
Yeah, there's.
It is.
There's actually.
See that now you're getting into the realm of offensive.
Yeah, bullshit.
Okay.
I'd say my father's my girlfriend's dad.
Okay, well I'm saying okay.
I was just in North Carolina. We had
All right, I don't, I have to move on. So I just the idea that these things are biological, I think has already been proven anecdotally, at least in situation after situation, millions of them, to not be true.
Well,
Parents who have this so-called natural inclination to, whatever, murder their children all the time. In fact, parents murder their children at a higher rate than husbands murder their wives, at a higher rate than white people murder people of color, dramatically higher. In some instances, like 10, 20, 30 times as high. So if there's a natural bond there, there's a strong natural inclination to violate that bond. And it's a load of shit. I mean, it's factually, because you're putting it forth as a fact, and the fact actually is so far from the truth that it does slide into the realm of being, way out there.
I wouldn't say as a rule that parents murder their children. I mean, that's like, I mean, I don't know.
You can't say as a
No one
rule.
says
I didn't say that that's a
This
rule.
is like your opinion, and this is like
Yeah, I know.
think he's
This
been.
is like we're talking about. We're talking about our vision, and I understand. I mean, maybe I'll come around, but to me, I mean, I've read in my biology textbook or whatever. After a mother has a child, this rush of endorphins go to her brain. When she sees a child, she feels this like love for the child.
Okay,
it's true. It's
it's absolutely true, and I've actually seen studies that say that. I don't know if we're talking about the same ones. They also have the same effect, believe it or not, when the person who isn't biologically the mother of that child holds the child. They also have the same physiological reaction. So it's nothing.
Some mothers eat their children out.
Yeah,
But just think of adoptions like that. That
Yeah,
does characterize how biological.
What I'm not trying to do here is antagonize that. What I am trying to do is point out that there's actually this broad base of, I'll be mushy here, love throughout, among different types of people for different people in society. And that's what we need to look at, is that we have that going for us. Not that, oh my God, if we take a mother from a child because the mother is being an authoritarian freak, that we're doing something wrong, but that, look at this, we actually have an entire society that has the ability to care for children. Why would we focus on a mother's right to dominate her child when what we should be looking at is the child's right to explore life?
Well,
No, we're done. Okay, but
just my concern is I don't want kids to get fucked. You know what I mean? Because I think it's important
Well,
for kids to have parents.
Yeah, I know. Well, sure, and I'm not, and I don't think that isn't your interest. I realize that that's your interest. It's also my interest too. And as long as we can mutually recognize that, we talk about this for hours. If I didn't think that was your intention, I would have shut you up a long time ago. But anyway, the reason that I didn't, actually, is because I think that this stuff is really important, getting onto strategy, which is what we really need to talk about now. We're going to have this vision mean anything to us other than that, wow, wouldn't it be great if that society came as the result of somebody being able to wave a wand? Then we're going to have to talk about the realistic ability to get there. And the reason I ended off with education and the nurturing and socialization of children is that I think that is one of the fundamental elements that overlaps between strategy and what we need to do now and what our vision is in the future. And also it's one area where we have a tremendous amount of ability to have actual direct effect, where we can actually put some of our ideals in place, and are in countless places all over the society, in media as well, where we're doing alternative media. That's where we can put our principles into the form of institutions and into the form of practices that aren't even necessarily institutional, and that's where we are going to see change coming about. The most important factor is going to be that we need this freedom, we need this information, right? That's not the most important factor, but the initial factor. We need the awareness raising, and that's going to happen through media, it's going to happen through various forms of education.